We're live. We're gonna do some more Gold Conquests. Burning through the tickets as the season end approaches. And we need to burn through these tickets. We begin on Gold 2. Couple of blobs. Don't hate that. Luke Cage and Valentina. This is almost even a snap. Double blobs, as they say. Welcome, Catmanda. Real argument to snapping here. I'm not going to do that, though. Oh my god! The Fabled! Triple blob! We'll snap that. How can we not? I can't imagine my opponent can deal with not one, not two, but 3 colossal blobs. Or my opponent retreats and ruins all of our fun. A decidedly less exciting opening hand, but it is what it is. I don't love Giganto with a Mojo World on the left, but what can you do?
On time.
So my opponent running... I don't know my opponent's... I don't know enough about Marvel Snap meta right now to tell you what Mockingbird Sunspot means. Well, I don't know how I feel about that. Nick Fury gonna add all of nothing. Virtually nothing.
Opponent snapped.
I don't know about that. I don't know why my opponent feels so strong, but I do not feel that strong, and happy to give it up for 1 cube. And ruin my opponent's fun as they ruined mine with the triple blob last turn. It's funny, the untapped tracker has clocked my opponent as having only Sunspot. Doesn't know what to do with Mysterio. Got myself a Enchantress for Quinjet if I want it. I could also maybe just take a Gambit.
This just in.
That's a fun She-Hulk. I kind of like just Gambiting here. That's 5 power I'm taking off of the board. And I don't really want to discard any of my cards. But, you know, the other ones are good. I don't like snapping that much here. I don't know which one I wanted or not want. It's weird. My opponent running, like, these cards that he's running are very, very in line with having Arishem, but he's just not running Arishem. Alright, so... Absorbing Man becomes Gambit. And Absorbing Man Enchantress are the most mana efficient. But I really don't want to continue discarding cards. And I would sure love to just hang on to... Enchantress. We'll see. See, my opponent main decking Luke Cage. What is my opponent's deck, man? Is it high Evo and I just haven't seen any high Evo cards? That might be consistent. I don't know if I snap here, though.
Enchantress.
I have myself an Absorbing Man in case I need an emergency Enchantress. Cersei here seems pretty good. Is Cersei snap-worthy? I think probably.
Oh, snap.
I think probably snap-worthy. Got myself an Absorbing Man for some follow-up evolving. Separately, even just now, I find, yeah, it's really, really hard to keep the face on while doing... He plays nothing. I guess so we are seeing a She-Hulk next turn.
Behold my mighty hand.
Oh, yeah! Get out of here! Lady Deathstrike says no.
Go.
That feels real good. Now, my opponent has floated, which means, I guess a 1-mana She-Hulk? Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer for you, I'm afraid. I've got... this feels pretty strong. That said, they could do something like, She-Hulk Right. She-Hulk Right feels pretty compelling for them. I think that this is maybe the right play. No, he can't do She-Hulk Right and then 5 random power. I'll feel dumb if he does a She-Hulk Right into over 5 power left. I don't think he has that. Okay, he's just leaving.
Victory.
You know, I do not count myself a fan of Taylor Swift. I would not describe myself as a Swift. However, we must give credit where credit is due. Lights, camera, bitch, smile, even when you want to die. Not bad advice. So Rogue is good for his Luke Cage of it all. I have no idea what... I guess maybe he's running a Moon Girl situation? That is the most, I would say, plausible list I can imagine. So now my opponent... Yeah, I think a Moon Girl thing makes sense. Now, I could snap, but my opponent could have picked up Super Scroll. This is a pretty strong play, but I do not have the ability to add a ton of power behind this, so I'm not going to snap here. Yeah, this is some kind of Moon Girl situation, then a huge power dump of Mockingbird and or Sage and or She-Hulks at the end. So I've stolen Quinjet, and I think I could just slam a Loki here and call it good. I guess if they took Rogue, I guess I'm not thrilled. I don't remember exactly what my hand was whenever white. Oh, it's highest cost card. It's not red. That was a White Palace. So he's got Enchantress. He could turn off my Rogue, but I don't know how much I care about that, and I'm about to get. Yeah, Moon Girl. Called it. Now, Moon Girl, she's getting played this turn. And we're not worried about Bifrost clogging up a lane here. Question is, do I want to play Quinjet? I guess I probably do. Why don't we do something like this? And I get all these cards. And I've already snapped. No, absolutely terrible.
I'm about to juice this up.
And I really don't love not having a Luke Cage. Now, that doesn't do a hell of a lot, because I've got another Quinjet down. So yeah, my opponent playing Luke Cage feels bad. U.S. agent gonna do more harm than good in most of these situations. Assuming my opponent throws down a Luke Cage. And Spider-Woman's gonna make him want to throw a Luke Cage if he has it. Yeah, there's that. Alright, so I could do, I mean... we're ahead on a bunch of lanes here. Could do something like this. And stop his own Sage, as I have priority, and then just go crazy in case he wants to play a big old card middle. Kind of like this. It's an argument to, I think, not playing these U.S. agents at all. It's gonna crush. It's actually negative power for me. Each one of those is negative power. So yeah, I just don't think that we play either U.S. agent. This seems okay.
Victory.
Probably could have seen that coming. Probably could have seen that coming. My opponent very disciplined with the retreating. I do not love that. I much prefer when my opponents stay in very marginal situations, but he refuses. And that's fine. Yeah, it's a neat list that he's cooked up. I do not know if people are playing this kind of thing or what. I could do myself... Supergiant might honestly favor him a little bit. Give him some opportunities to get a little sassy with it, but this also prevents him from doing a... well, he wouldn't have the mana for Moon Girl next turn. I can't think of a better thing to do than Supergiant here, so we're just going to call it. It's not... You know, being able to Supergiant on 3s, preventing him from doing... Moon Girl on 4 that he wants to do, that's disruptive. We like that, but I guess probably Heimdall left here makes us feel good. Well, this is going to be pretty exciting. I don't quite know... I don't think... Yeah, whenever Sakaar is the rightmost location and that happens, it doesn't benefit him over. I'm going to... Yeah, Lady Deathstrike here feels pretty awesome.
Snap.
This is a questionable snap because I'm not... the Heimdall of it all makes it a little bit weird. opponent doing on turn 4 over there? Is that Moon Girl? Luke Cage? Sure. I think putting a stop to Luke Cage sounds pretty good. And then we are completely throwing right lane. Actually, I guess we want Enchantress last in case we want to do some kind of Absorbing Man business. We're completely throwing right lane because of my hidden Heimdall. It's not going to see that coming. And this seems like enough power. Everything I'm going to play after this is going to end up middle. Yeah, this feels good.
Enchantress.
My own Luke Cage, absolutely love it. So now I guess go for the most power. Absorbing Man does nothing. Okay, we're just shipping it and hoping that I can win left. I'm almost certainly going to win middle. But if I can't win left, I mean, I'm going to have no points right. Heimdall is just that. Heimdall felt right in the moment, but now that I look at what's happened, I'm not sure I agree. He might just throw right and then. Oh, what is happening here? But we'll see. We're unless there's an M'Baku in my deck, we are playing for points left and right.
I see the way.
Feels like I'm ahead. Can't imagine I lose this. Yeah. That's good.
Victory.
That's good. That was a fun Valentina into Heimdall. Oh, I kind of forgot that Luke Cage was going to... fist bump my opponent. Good attitude. My opponent played well, retreated well. I just got pretty lucky with the old Arishem of it all. And hard to be too mad. Anyway, with Luke Cage turning off the Valentina reduction of the power of Heimdall, I kind of failed to clock that I would be going up to 28 left. That said, if he's got... No, he's not. He's not doing hot. I haven't seen evidence of Hot Evo, and there's only 4 cards I haven't seen, and I guess one of them is Mysterio, and we can count on the other one being Mockingbird. I was almost certainly going to win that. Which we did. We did win it. A nice gold 2 in the books. What missions we got here? All of them. Good for me. Oh, and the weekend. I got 2 of the weekend ones done in let's call it 30 minutes. That's very funny. Just need to get some zoo games with Gilgamesh. That's 8 is a lot of wins. Don't love that. Is what it is. But that's funny how efficient that went. Leader boosters. Sure. Why not? Why not some leader boosters? All right. Continuing with some gold 3. Oh, it was my opponent. Yeah. Pretty high. Pretty highly rated opponents. I have been discovering through both my own stream, or my own conquests, as well as watching other streams, the true absurdity of the matchmaking or lack of matchmaking in the Infinity Conquest. It doesn't seem correct from a enjoyable standpoint from people who are really high or really low. I think it cheapens Infinity Conquest a little bit. I have played some Infinity Conquest where I get up against some really talented and collection-heavy opponents, and it's just a real sweaty slobber knocker. And then other matches, I just played infants with 4 cards and just steamroll them, and there's nothing that they could have done. And it feels bad to beat those opponents. It feels bad to run into an Infinity Conquest where you've got 5 hard opponents in a row. It would be nice to have something. I think that they should consider spreading that around a little bit and Maybe adding some matchmaking to Infinity as well as having a little bit less in the gold and the silver. It's just an odd landscape. I don't know how I feel about it. My opponent, running Arisham, that is much more likely. I am unsurprised to see that. I don't love Arnim Zola. I do not like playing Conquest against Arisham decks. It just doesn't feel great. So I can use Arnim Zola to get into Altar of Death if I really want to. Extra mana next turn doesn't actually help me that much. I'm going to hold a turn.
Taking aim.
Even better. This is just a nightmare. My opponent, very funny. I like my opponent. I wouldn't go so far as to say I'm rooting for him, but it's funny. So, what I'm leaning towards doing is Mockingbirding this turn and Arnim Zola-ing. It's not the strongest, but it does allow me to get to Altar of Death and gives me some options here. I guess I kind of gently like that a little bit more. Plays around a random... Well, we can do ourselves a little Rogue Grandmastering. No.
Opponent snapped.
Well, this makes sense that my opponent is snapping. They could have a, they could have a Mystique. They could have an Absorbing Man. The thing is, I have some tools between Shang-Chi and Absorbing Man, and for that matter, Grandmaster. The thing now is I don't have a ton of mana. If I Rogue and then Grandmaster, I have a colossal mid, but then how do I deal with right? I guess it's just... I just don't know if that's worth it. We do this. And snap back. That's a questionable snapback. I know I'm feeling it. My opponent is good, and let's see if we can beat him here. I'm gonna have the mana to deal with things. Now, I have priority. I also have enough mana for both Arnim Zola and Absorbing Man. As Shang-Chi, if I want it. I kind of like Arnim Zola Shang-Chi. Even if Mockingbird goes over, I'm pretty strong in all these lanes. And I'm Shang-Chiing the thing that I'm worried about here. The thing is there a smarter play with Absorbing Man Shang-Chi? I don't think so. I think I want to get mid with Altar of Death. So we do this, and we do this.
All hail Hydra!
So this feels pretty good. I can't imagine a single card that he plays right that beats what I've got left and middle. Yes!
Victory.
Yes. That feels really good. That feels really good. And again, I feel like I just made a very, very good play. Very high level. evaluated all my options, and I won. And I still have the kind of dopey, my mouth is open, what are you doing stream face. I need to get back to that. So thank you for your patience, both of my viewers here. But we are in a great spot. And we'll go ahead and snap because Blob is pretty cool. We're going to begin emptying the hand. I love that avatar. Or, emote, not avatar. White Widow, main deck White Widow. I respect it. We're doing great. Thank you, Catmanda. So we could do something like Spider-Man to try and kill something, but we are not going to do that. We are going to Spider-Man away from Oscorp Tower. We hope Spider-Man goes right here. Doesn't ultimately matter that much. But we have a colossal...
Spider-Man here.
Okay, thanks, Spider-Man. Colossal cube. Okay, so my opponent has Blob. We hate that. What do I get from him? Arisham. Yeah, my opponent got very lucky there.
Who'd they dig up this time?
Giganto Sasquatch. So we got some options here. Heimdall is fascinating. Kind of like Sasquatch here, and then I can do Blob on... Well... I always like to do Blob in Wakanda, keep it safe, of course. But, my opponent, we know for a fact that he has a Blob. I think we still Sasquatch here. Don't know if there's some kind of Heimdall shenanigans we want to do. Also have to remember that Martyr will lose the game if Martyr decides to lose the game. We'll go ahead and Blob here. Yeah. Well, now Heimdall is suddenly a fascinating option. We can do a couple of things here. We can Heimdall left. I think Heimdall left is the play. The one option is Heimdall mid, and that really maximizes my mid power. I'm going to go up to bigger than anything he could possibly get. But then I'm really fragile left. I'm really only effectively at 24 left. I think that probably this is the play. The thing is, my opponent has a lot of tools, or a lot of cards that, in a lot of situations, that he could cook me. I could, you know, go for a Hail Mary Gambit, of course, but then what else am I doing? I think we're going to Heimdall left and just cross our fingers. That said, you know, a Mystique or a Darkhawk or a Rogue just wins. So, we're doing it.
I see.
3 cards makes me feel okay. Unless one of them is a Rogue left. Yeah, Mystique left. That does it too. That's going to get big enough that Martyr's going to move for sure. Yeah, I don't know if I could have won that outside of a Miracle Gambit. But that's okay. We got 4 more, I guess technically 5 more bites at the apple? With the free retreat? We'll see. I am absolutely feeling... Oh, thank you, Agatha Harkness. This is probably my free retreat here. I am absolutely feeling the... I sure would have liked Agatha to have been far left. The lack of Darkhawk. Not having Darkhawk in this meta is... almost unacceptable. Even though it is going to be in the spotlight caches in the, whatever, 3 weeks or something? Yeah, we're out here. Well, hello, Hail Satan Luxie. I see that you've got a battery icon next to your name. I don't know what that means. Does that mean, is that from a different stream? Is that like a Twitch thing? What is the significance of the battery icon next to your name? Alright, here we are snapping. I've got a Loki in hand. We're very far ahead. We'll put him to it. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's about, yeah. Oh, yeah, Turbo might be the name of, what am I trying to think of here? The name of just ad-free Twitch broadly. So I could play Viper here, 3-5 with no downside here is great, but I really, really, really want to maximize my Loki. And I think just holding is the way to go. And Loki over here. Ah! No, they've got a... They are ahead. They have not only more cards, but more power on the board. Alright, so I can do... This is tough because in order to compete for the raft, which I would very much like to do, I have to expose a ton of power in a way that feels pretty bad. It's like right now, they might very understandably or justifiably play in response to my Darkhawk, a rogue that cooks me or an enchantress that cooks me. And there's really nothing I can do about that because I just have to keep playing over here. So Mystique feels good, and then I guess just Nick Fury, and then we just hope for the best. That said, he himself is probably going to have to fill up here. So if he plays like a... we'll see. This is maybe workable. It might ultimately simply come down to who gets the stronger free raft card. And I got a useless one. That is incredibly bad luck. That is an exceptional use of your time. I love that you're playing Stardew while watching.
Squad's still a little light.
Yeah, so that doesn't feel good. My opponent now has... Like, I can't do anything here to compete anywhere. We saw that coming, but there was no alternative play. I guess I could have just thrown it. That would have been a hard line to find. I wasn't comfortable doing that. It just was unfortunate that he had the Shang-Chi. So I can do something like Doctor Doom if he plays nothing middle, but of course he's not going to play nothing middle. So I'm going to not have Infinite and just lose here, and that just is what it is, because we're playing for the max thing. So just in some miracle that he doesn't play anything middle, or under 5 power, we'll win here, but this is a loss, and we just move on to the next one. I got super unlucky with the raft and his Shang-Chi cooking us at the same time. It is what it is. Yeah. Did he get... Is that a Nick Fury blob?
Are ye worthy?
Nick Fury blob and a Raft Odin? Yeah, that's about as opposite as you can get on the luck spectrum.
Doom rules all.
Yeah, there was no one in that. So now, we're down to... My opponent had to beat me 5 times in a row. To my 1. Now my opponent has done it twice. He has to beat me 3 times in a row. And it's going to feel very bad if that happens. They're playing well enough. But I am just getting cooked by my own luck here. Shuri into Nimrod is a funny sequence of rare cards. Also, there's no more snapping here. We are just maximum stakes. Here we go. Nimrod gone. Sure. What does he lose? Vision. Kind of like to see that gone. Quinjet sounds great. Do a little Shuri Spider-Man next turn or something. Shuri Magneto, also pretty good. How big do we want to... Do we care about... I think there's an... If he plays some kind of 3 or 4 cost card that he does not want to get Clintard, we're going to pull it with the Magneto, but that's pretty cool. I am drawing pretty bad, but maybe my opponent is also kind of drawing pretty bad, it feels like. My opponent has this Shang-Chi, we're a little bit hosed. But this is kind of where it feels bad to not have Darkhawk, because if he just draws Darkhawk, that's just so much power. Ah, well, that's something.
We are the future.
It actually mildly favors me. Because I can fill up my board and take 4 power off of Widow's Kiss. That's not overly great. His Cersei was bad, but if he's got himself a I guess Spider-Man is better here. If he has himself a Shang-Chi, we're not feeling great about it. Blob, amazing hit. That's an amazing hit for him. This is very, very good. This is very good. I think I might have this. So what I can do is I'm going to rogue his Blob, which is just an enormous amount of power. And the only way he's going to be able to compete over there is to put a Shang-Chi down, which will allow him to win that lane. And the thing is, if he puts Shang-Chi down in that lane, that only gives him a certain amount of other mana to play with. And I think we do this. The thing is, what he could do, which is a little terrifying, is if he Shang-Chi's left, and then does another on-reveal right, he is going to get bigger than me in both of those lanes. So, does it make more sense to do this? But then we're only getting so big middle. And like he's throwing... I think that this is the better play around Shang-Chi, because he would most likely go back to right for that amount of power. But if this is backwards, I'll feel very dumb. We don't want to see anything middle. Yes. Okay, that's very good. So even if this is Shang-Chi left, we are adding an enormous amount of power right. I actually should have blobbed first right. That was a mistake. Yeah, there's no way he has enough power left here, right? Yes. Yes!
Victory.
Yes! So that was a little bit of a mistake. Rogue could have been played second, and I needed to get larger on the right. So my blob on the right stopped counting because I literally ran out of cards. No, actually, no. What the hell? I am mistaken. The reason that my blob on the right is only 12 is because it has the Valentina -4, and it got as big as it needed to go. So I guess there is objectively, I should have played it first, but it ultimately didn't matter that much. That feels good. I'm going to fist bump my opponent because they played well and had good emotes. And that is an Infinity ticket. We did it. I was playing last night. I was not very tired. I was full of the Cheesecake Factory. caffeine, all of the Diet Cokes that I drank at the Cheesecake Factory. And it was, let's call it 12:30, could not sleep. And I was like, you know what, I not only have like a bunch of leftovers in the fridge, but like a leftover Jack in the Box burger that I had had from lunch. That sounded pretty good. I'm gonna wash it down with maybe more Diet Coke, more caffeine. I'm gonna do some more streaming, I said to myself last night at 12. And so I did. I got up and I ate the leftover Jack in the Box hamburger, leftover French fries, and I started streaming. And I did, I want to say, 3 gold tickets in the span of about an hour. I did a gold conquest that I don't remember a ton of the specifics other than I lost in the first game, lost in the second game, lost in the second game, and throughout all that, I was just making a ton of mistakes. With Arisham, there's a ton of RNG, of course, and many of those losses were attributable to just Arisham just cooked shit. But, and at least one of those, I absolutely screwed up. There was the new Eternals raft thing that floods the other locations. I got screwed up with that and something else, and made a very dumb, not very dumb, but like a mistake that I would not have been making had I not been streaming at 2:30 in the morning. And I did another gold ticket, and I won the first game, and like I barely won the first match. I barely won the first match. I was making a couple of fundamental mistakes, and I think really the only reason I won is because Arisham came down on my side of things. And at that point, I'm like, I'm done. It's 2:30 or something at this point. We're gonna call the stream there. My friend Matt was kind enough to hang out, and we were chatting. And so now, here we are the next day, refreshed, caffeinated, and I'm happy to report that I don't think I made a ton of mistakes there. I examined all of the lines that I could have made, and I'm pretty comfortable with how that all played out. Particularly this Gold 3 that just happened. I took 8 cubes off of my opponent in a snapback situation where I had him pretty, with that Arnim Zola into the Altar of Death. Felt pretty good about that. Felt even, dare I say, great about it. And so I'm glad that I got my mojo back. That said, I find myself a little unmoored, and if you'll permit me for talking through this a little bit. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. There are times in the Marvel Snap meta where I am super comfortable. I know what people are playing. I know how people are playing those, how they win, what their weaknesses are, and all around that kind of how to snap. And all around that, I am comfortable with whatever deck I am playing as being favored against most of those decks, or just comfortable. Even if it's not super favored, I know what I'm doing. That's maybe the best way to put it. I know what I'm doing, and I'm not unfavored. That's if I were to summarize it in 2 sentences. That is sometimes, but certainly not all the times. There are when new cards are introduced, or some streamer goes on a tear. It's usually Lambie series. They figure something out, and the meta just shifts underneath my feet. Maybe I go out of town, I'm on a cruise trip, and I come back, and like it's a completely different territory. Everyone's playing different things. Everyone's winning in different ways. I usually default to Loki decks, and whenever a Loki deck is not favored into the meta, I'm very uncomfortable. And it feels bad. And of course, I play Marvel Snap every day, but I just deal with it. And so this is all to say is there is a big spectrum of comfort that I have in any metagame. And right when Arisham was released, I felt very comfortable because I'm often comfortable when other people are uncomfortable. This is why I play Loki in the first place. Whenever your opponent doesn't know what the hell your Loki has given you, you have an enormous amount of psychological warfare and snap equity and lines that you can take against what they think you can do. And Arisham just adds rocket fuel to that. So it's great, because we were all in the same uneven playing field, and I'm just much more used to putting when my opponents are uneven playing field. But now Arisham's been out for a couple of days, and everyone's fucking playing Arisham crazily. I find myself on the other side of this equation more than I would like. It feels bad. Increasingly, I recognize that when my opponents are putting me on this uncertain playing field, and I have no earthly idea what their Arisham Loki has given them, or what they've drawn, or why they're snapping. It just feels very uncomfortable. As well as, I don't have Darkhawk, which is kind of a must-play right now, and I just don't have it. And because I don't have it, I'm also not running Mystique, which is itself maybe a mistake. And so I'm a little bit unmoored there, but not so much that I'm not going to keep going. But now that Arisham has been out for a couple of days, I find, even just today, not all of my opponents were playing Arisham. That is not what it was the other day. Every day, everyone was playing Arisham. Now, I'm seeing a lot of destroy decks. In today's thing, I saw this weird Moon Girl situation. And so I'm a little concerned that Arisham might not be objectively very good. Doesn't ultimately matter to me. Captain's subjective. I'll play all sorts of weirdness. But if people are starting to solve it and figure out archetypes that just cook it on average, it feels bad. And actually, the thing is, I don't know if that's happened yet. It's possible that it is destroy. And, you know, Lambie put out a video, or KM Best figured it out, that one of these archetypes, and I'm using destroy because I've just seen it a couple more times than others, really cooks Arisham, and I don't notice or know about that until I'm, like, starting to use my Infinity tickets. And I just get brutalized before I even know what's happening. Like in an anime, you know, the protagonist swings their sword, puts it back in the sheath, deep breath, the villain falls into pieces. That'll be me. If I'm just sitting there queuing up like a dumbass with Arisham in my hand and they figured it out, who knows? Moral of the story, I'm feeling pretty okay, but with every passing minute, I'm feeling the heat of not having Darkhawk. And also, I'm mildly concerned that Arisham is going to be a little bit solved in a way that I'm going to find punishing. I'm also not 100,000,000,000% sure about my own list. There's so many flex spots. You know, you need Blob. I think Agent Coulson is increasingly something that, like, everybody's putting in. I think Loki is a must-include, but that is even kind of going away. It's like, you need Blob, and maybe Darkhawk, but, like, you need Blob. That's it. Every other card, there is an argument to cut or not cut. I very much like Loki. I very much like Quinjet. I think I need Rogue, Shang-Chi, and Enchantress in there to deal with the Arisham counters and the fact that I don't have Darkhawk. So, if we assume those are locked, as well as Coulson, in my own list, the flex spots, maybe Quinjet could go? I don't think so. We'll even call that locked. So, Valentina, who knows? Absorbing Man, who knows? Nick Fury, who knows? Like, those could be any three different cards, kind of in the Arisham pantheon. And 3 doesn't sound like a lot, particularly when Arisham is shuffling all the cards into your deck, but they could be an archetype. You could do Haivo, that change these things around. You could do Cersei, Legion, Leech. There's an argument for Wave and getting Red Hulk in there. I just don't know. It's a very exciting time. I feel pretty good about what I've got, but that's meaningless. Sorry, the Nick Fury, the huge flex spot that has sort of been working out, but I could see a world in which that's something that you should not have. So that's good. Feels good. Yeah, I forget how many Infinity tickets I had. I played, I used some of them. I got to the 5th game and lost in a heartbreaking photo finish. Got to the 4th game, got to the 4th game. There's a couple that I lost in the first game or two. So we're doing okay this season. But I really think that I have, or continue to, because I'm not going to stop this behavior, kneecap myself by not doing something a little bit more consistent. I think that Arisham and Conquest is awesome, and I will probably, in future seasons, go back to the Arisham well and do something very similar to this in future seasons, depending on what the meta looks like. But for this season, not having Darkhawk and everyone else running Arisham, it is a bad feeling kind of time in the Infinity Conquest, and I think that I am just kind of behind the 8 ball, partially through my own doing. Coupled with this earlier matchmaking thing, I just cannot believe how the absolute lack of any kind of matchmaking in Infinity Conquest really makes it feel bad. Where I either matched against 5 killers or just newcomers that have absolutely no shot. And it feels bad when you're on the wrong end of that RNG. Anyway, that's my rant is over. What I want to do, I think, is one more gold ticket. At least. I wanted to take a little bit of a mental break after that win. I'm glad that you guys endured that little rant instead of gameplay. I appreciate you guys hanging out. But let's get back into it. We are changing nothing. You're just going through the tickets, going to continue playing the same way. Probably broadly favored? I don't know. This is... I mean, I say different versions of this throughout Marvel Snap, but this is frontier territory. It's the Wild West. I'm very excited. Well, we got Loki in hand, and we're generating cards. And this is almost a snap. If I was playing normal rank mode, I might snap here. But I'm comfortable playing a little bit more conservatively at the beginning. I have no earthly idea what my opponent is playing. Okay, my opponent's playing Arisham. This is maybe a snap. But we're going to hang out. I have actually quite a bit to say on... Okay, how do we feel about that? I guess we like a 0 power null, and then... This is maybe a snap. Is this a snap? Because my opponent could have Blob. I don't think this is a snap. I have no earthly idea. We have my opponent, no earthly idea what's going on. And that's fine. So now I got myself 5 mana. I could do some kind of, Shuri shenanigans. But I kind of just like ripping Loki. My opponent snaps. That could just mean a blob. This could mean like he's going to rogue my null, but I'm about to Loki and maybe get his rogue back. I kind of like having this 0 power null. It's really, really cool because, you know, if he kills something massive later... can I get in there? Maybe. We'll see. If he kills... So my opponent has... Sorry, let's take a moment to talk. My opponent has Enchantress... and I don't know if I have a way to get over there. I kind of like... Was that a random generated? Yeah, that was a Coulson Professor X. Anyway, having a null early like this is just like if I played a blob in either lane and he Shang-Chi's it, then the null is quote-unquote protected and just gets all that right back. So I like doing... I guess I have a couple options here. I can try and just get lucky with the Coulson pull. But I think just refreshing the hand with Loki is the way to go. It's good to know that my opponent has Mobius, Shang-Chi, all these stuffs. Actually, why don't we play the more expensive Quinjet? To be a little bit more mana efficient about it if I need to get down just an extra free card next turn. That said, absent a a random Heimdall, I don't think there's any way I can get to Xandar with this permutation of things, and or certainly a random Jeff. But you know, it is what it is. Hello, Beesworth. So yeah, this is not a great spot. My opponent has middle on complete lockdown. And I did not pull Shang-Chi nor Rogue. And I got a blob, and that's huge. But it just seems like there's no way I can get big enough in both lanes. Let's say I do that. You know, I get up to 16. If he's got a, himself a, Mystique or Darkhawk, that wins. And frankly, I am quote-unquote only adding 15 power here so he can do... You know, there is... Shoot, yeah, he just has random cards. There is an art... I could maybe win here. The thing is it worth 2 cubes? I'm doing it. This is a real argument to not do this. Oh, my opponent had Jeff. And I very well might lose here, but there's a real argument to do what I'm doing here. I might have just won. Get out of my game. That was dumb.
Victory.
I don't know if I should have stayed there. I think my opponent playing Jeff mid made no sense. Like what? Unless I do a Heimdall, how does he possibly lose mid? He really, and if he Jeff's left, I lose. That's it. My blob got unlucky. I don't know. I think that probably me and my opponent played that wrong, except for the turn when he snapped and did Professor X. That was smart. What he should have done. Anyway, we're winning. We take wins. We take wins. We take wins. Opponent, naked snaps. I have an okay hand. But only okay, so we're gonna get out of here. Could have been a tilt snapped. I don't know. Beesworth, how are you doing? How is your day? Are you playing any good games right now? Or I'll even extend the question. Have you played any good games recently that you would say recommend to me and the other handful of viewers here? I thought about doing Rocket. I have regrets. So, rough night last night. Did you tie one on? Was it a spirited what is the word I'm looking for? Adventuresome night, or was it a like an emotional thing that you don't want to talk about in a public Twitch chat environment? My hand is the curve of my hand is terrible. I love Blob Absorbing Man, but like, what am I doing until then? Oh yeah, drinking a lot and allergies went wild. That sounds amazing. Super duper fun. Also, Mobius in an Arishem list is truly heinous. That doesn't make any sense. It's a bad card in my view. That said, it is cooking me here. It is in this very narrow circumstance whenever your opponent is playing Arishem and whatever. I don't agree with that inclusion at all, but I guess a win is a win. I mean, if I had anything that made sense next turn, I would stay in, but I just don't, so I'm out of here.
Escaped.
Yesterday, speaking of the rough night of it all, went to a Mariners baseball game and then had some Cheesecake Factory for dinner. So it was real exciting in Nate's 4th of July adventures. Man, where's my good cards? This is just what Arishem is, I guess. It's just tragedy. Question: can you see any fireworks shows from your house? Sort of. Over the water, so we have this lovely view of the water. You can see Vashon Island, and you can see lots of stuff. What am I losing? Losing Vulture, great. You can see lots of stuff like behind Vashon Island, and kind of over, like on the other side of like this weird hill that you can't quite see. Many fireworks shows, sort of. Oh, I guess that would have been nice. Asteroid M would have been cool to have for. Vulture would have been cool for Asteroid M. So we get a lot of just kind of, I would say, fun amateur fireworks. It's cool. Man. Guys, okay. Killing our hands. He's down to 2 cards, I'm down to 2 cards. I really don't like my hand is not good, but my opponent's hand is maybe not good. I can Odin next turn for some fun business. I think that this is the line. Is it enough to win? I don't know. I guess I've got Rogue for any kind of blob stuff. And so, yeah, we didn't really look at fireworks. Particularly by the end of the baseball game, I had had some marijuana. I was eating all damn day. I was super tired, and I wasn't super tired. I really didn't participate in the fireworks. Like, I don't know if I even stuck my head out the window. All we did was hear them. Ah, that's a good play. So my opponent has Loki. Do I want to Loki? I think probably. The alternative is Odin and Groot. Which I don't think is a winning play. And here I've got... And my opponent does not have a... Mobius to stop me from having my fun. Ah! Well, that's some next level plays. Alright, so I've got... This feels good. I don't know if I want a Boomer Snap here. But I have the ability to add a ton of power in these lanes, and my opponent is going to have to do work to win these. The question is, do I want to go heavy in one of these lanes? If I want to compete all 3 lanes, I have to blob here. The real question is, am I going to Valentina right? The thing is, I guess he got a Loki, so like, what am I worried about him playing? Like a Coulson... I think we just ship this here. And then if we lose, we lose. Yeah, maybe I should have done a Valentina right. Yes. Very good. Very good. Yeah, going out on the deck. I don't even know if I stepped foot on the deck. You're absolutely right that is like the kind of the maximum amount of effort. Catmanda is correct. It was incredibly loud. It was just like everywhere. Just neighbors in all directions. It's not so much in like, we're not in like the suburbs, but we're in an area that has just a lot of pockets of civilization. So you have, obviously, Seattle's up there, but also you've got like smaller towns and like neighborhoods that are full of adventuresome people. And so you've got tiny fireworks that like one house is setting off. You've got huge fireworks that like an enclave over there is setting off in every single direction. If I was a dog, I would have lost my goddamn mind. All right, so I'm losing Captain America. I don't love that they've Widow-kissed my Hope location. Shang-Chi gone. That was actually a random Shang-Chi. His silk is gone. Hail Mary Jubilee. Could also... Living Tribunal is tough. It makes more sense if I've got a big banger, but if you're fighting an Arisham deck and you get Living Tribunal down, they can pretty easily get huge in 2 lanes
Opponent snapped.
in a way that feels bad. So I think this is a run. I don't have anything that feels good to follow this up. So I'm out of here.
Escaped.
And yes, I touched on this, but to be explicit, Hail Satan, Luxie, it was crazy. I did my midnight streaming, wrapped up, did my post-stream interneting, and then, like, was trying to sleep, and you could still hear it in, like, 2:30, 3 in the morning, or whenever the hell that was. Did my opponent just leave? My opponent disconnect? Did I disconnect? My opponent retreated. Okay.
Victory.
We won! Separately, and here's a cautionary tale for those of you that play Marvel Snap. I was able to get... This is a thing that happened to me not in this game. But I was playing against Arisham. I guess ultimately it doesn't matter, but I was playing a game of Marvel Snap in this current patch. And I... Separately, 7,000 boosters on Shang-Chi, that's funny. I clicked, and the game was over. An individual game was over in a conquest match. And I clicked next to go into the next game. But then I remembered that my opponent had played Blob, and I was not intimately familiar with his list yet. So I clicked on his Blob to scroll through the cards that his Blob had eaten to see what he was quote-unquote main decking. And because I had clicked next to get into the next game, there was this weird interaction with, as I clicked the Blob, it just crashed the client. And so I tell you this in case you are wanting to examine a Blob, do not go next game. Stay in the game that you're in now, or else you might crash the client and not be able to get back in. And my opponent snapped here in this game. He snapped, I retreated, and then he disconnected, and that didn't feel like a rage quit. That felt like my opponent, like something went wrong with his software, and that's why he's out of here. What I think I might do. So a number of my viewers are pretty into fantasy football. I am not. But what I could do is, in the 2 months whenever football starts happening, is position myself as a fantasy football expert and absorb the knowledge of my friends and loved ones and just parrot back the things that they say on the stream. And then I'm going to get hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of followers, loyal fans, each hinging on my every bit of nugget of iota of fantasy football wisdom, my cutting analysis, my true life-altering knowledge that I've just stolen from my friends. I think I might consider doing that. This is incumbent on my friends actually knowing what they're talking about, and I don't know if that is for a fact true. And I don't think that there's a ton of overlap between your average Marvel Snap viewer and your average fantasy football lover, but we can try it out. Gotta carve a niche out for myself. Right now, as I look at it, we're streaming to 4 people. I know 3 of you personally, at least, if not the 4th one. So I gotta pump up these numbers. I'm doing my best, putting out the best content. I want to take a moment to thank you guys, all 4 of you, but the 3 people that I know that aren't necessarily Marvel Snap heads, for hanging out. I'm going to call the stream here. I won, I guess on this stream, we've gone 3-0. I did battle 2 and 3 of Gold Conquest, got an Infinity ticket. Here I've just won the first one. Let's take a look at my opponent. Yeah, huge collection level, infinite, skilled opponent. This is good. And I want to thank you guys for hanging out. I'm going to keep streaming, maybe later today, probably tomorrow, whatever, but I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And a big part of why I'm having fun doing this is you guys hanging out and just shooting the shit. So please come hang out, lurk, talk shit about me or the night that you had last night or the video games. Beesworth, for reference, why I asked, I fired up the new, I guess it's not even new anymore, but the new Ratchet and Clank game, Rift Apart. I had never gotten around to it. It was on a Steam sale, and that's just pretty fun. It works out well on the Steam Deck. I'm having a nice time with that. But I don't love it, and so I'm just shooting for video game recommendations. Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys. In between your super busy lives and your Cheesecake Factory leftovers, weaving in some time watching the stream, really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Friday, if I don't see you before then, as I stream again. And into a great weekend in this beautiful weather. Take it easy. You're all very wise, attractive, just all-around high-quality people. Thank you for hanging out. Take it easy.